Hello, everybody. This is Louise Eddington, contributor for Progressive Army. And with me today, I have Congressional candidate Savannah Gardiner, who is running for Congressional District, which one? Three, which is mine in Utah. And I'm very happy to have her here because I would be very happy to have her as my congressional leader. So tell me a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Yeah, so I moved to Utah when I was 12, right before I turned 12. And I've lived here most of my life. I moved away to Hawaii for a few years when my husband was in the military. And then as soon as he got out, we moved right back here. So, I've spent a good deal of my life in Utah and then also living in a more progressive state where some of different issues are brought up. And so moving back here, it's kind of highlighted some ways that Utah's kind of falling behind and letting down the people of the state. And I feel like we definitely have kind of a one-sided representation in Utah, which doesn't represent the people of Utah and the diversity of Utah. So that was kind of the push for me to get started and get going. So yeah, that's kind of the
crux of it. So you're pretty new to actual being involved in politics, but I believe that's part of what you study.
Yes. So I'm studying environmental science and management with a minor in political science. So as far as like getting involved, I am 29, so I'm not super up there. So I haven't actually done a lot as far as like working campaigns. This last election season, I was actually pregnant the entire time. But at 9 months pregnant, I actually worked the exit polls.
Oh,
so getting involved in little ways is kind of what I've been about. I do have 3 kids, so being out there every day on the lines is kind of a little bit difficult. But
you're doing your finals now, aren't you? So
yes, I've got my last 2 finals today, and then a 10-page paper, and we're done for this summer. But it's kind of crazy. I've always been involved politically, but I haven't attended meetings constantly.
I think there's something to be said for that, to be honest. Personally, I think some of the people that have been involved kind of get
too involved.
Yeah,
when you're too involved, you don't understand the issues that normal people are facing every day, which is obviously a problem. I actually grew up a Republican, and I think it was about, my husband was in the military, and most people in the military tend to lean towards the right. But that was actually the years that I realized that I was definitely not a Republican, and I don't really consider myself a Democrat either, just more of a progressive. And
you're running as a Democrat, though, just to be clear. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. But more so than establishment, I would say.
Oh, yeah. So let's talk about some of the issues then that you are most passionate about. Would you kind of name 3 top ones?
Yeah. So the first one I would say personally would be veteran care, because my husband is a disabled veteran. And so we have seen the downfalls of the system, specifically here in Utah. And I know I told you before, Louise, but my husband's psychiatrist had actually retired in the fall. And due to funding and a bunch of other issues that the VA does face, they weren't able to actually hire a new psychiatrist until like a month or 2 ago. So he just barely got his last appointment a couple weeks ago. And while my husband is okay, there's so many veterans, especially in Utah, there's so many veterans here who would not be okay with that kind of a lapse, whereas they're not able to get their medication, or they're not able to reach out and get the help they need without significant obstacles to try and travel somewhere reasonably far for them to actually be seen and get that kind of help. So
a lot of them don't even have the family support and things. So
it's very difficult. And there's a lot of programs that aren't actually being taken up by the VA that are being taken up by nonprofit organizations. So we actually have a dog, and we've been trying to get her trained as a service dog. And the VA actually recommended that we get a service dog, but they said, we don't pay for it. We don't have any programs for it, but here's a list of people you can go to and they'll help you. And so getting funding for these kind of issues and this kind of help for veterans is definitely something that I'm extremely passionate about, since it obviously affects my everyday life and my kids' life.
Especially in a country that likes to go to war so much.
We're going to pay for veteran care. It's as simple as that. We shouldn't be skimping on the aftermath just so we can go to war. We need to be looking at both sides of the picture here.
Yeah, we should.
Yeah.
So single payer healthcare, are you a fan of that?
Absolutely.
Oh,
so I actually had to quit my job last August. I found out I was pregnant. We struggled with infertility for about 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so then when we had my son, we weren't expecting to have more kids right away. And we've had 2 girls, totally not even expecting it. But with my 3rd girl, my husband's been in school because he's using the GI Bill. And when we found out I was pregnant, my work didn't really offer healthcare. Comprehensive healthcare was difficult to get, and it was expensive. And on top of the thousands of dollars we would have to pay for that, I believe my deductible was $8,000, and I was paying, $1,000 a month for it. And so to hit that deductible and then only be given 6 weeks of maternity leave is just ridiculous.
Well, clearly, I'm from the UK. Clearly, I think I had 20 weeks off with my first one.
Oh my goodness!
And most of that was paid.
Insane. And living in Utah, where we're so family oriented, there's absolutely no reason that we shouldn't be covering mothers and fathers for parental leave. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, because it's the future. It's like, we
need women in the workforce, and we can't have women in the workforce if we're not taking care of them.
Yeah.
And as far as medical insurance, the only reason I was working is actually to get medical insurance for my family, because my husband, as I said, is disabled, and so he kind of needed me home to help with the kids. But disabled veteran families aren't able to, they're not eligible for insurance until you hit a certain threshold. It has to be 100%, which is extremely difficult to get to. And so all these families that have disabled veteran spouses, they have to go to work to get insurance for their families. And when you have kids, not getting insurance is not an option.
To me, the whole vets health and the VA really is tied up with single payer to me, and family leave, that you can't separate it all. It's all about taking care of families of all persuasions, that is, all families of all kinds. It's because without that, families are struggling to survive. Then the minimum wage as well. So if you get elected to Congress, what would you do to fight for some of these issues?
I think it's bringing a light to these issues. We're fighting for $15 minimum wage, and really that's a stepping stone, because really it's not a living wage. I've worked for $15 an hour, and on top of, with the housing system here in Utah at like $1,300 to $1,600 for a small apartment, you can't work for $15 an hour and provide for a family. So it's more of bringing a light to these issues and letting them know that I'm not part of the establishment. I wasn't gifted anything. I didn't grow up with a silver spoon in my mouth. I'm someone who's actually living these real issues, and letting them know that it matters what they're doing there. When they take away healthcare from people, it's not just taking it away to save money. It is affecting people. When they are denying people living wages, it is affecting people in ways that we can't overcome if we're not willing to take a look at these.
Yeah. So what I hear a lot in Utah is that you can't take a stand on these issues or you'll never win. What would you say to that?
It's difficult because the one issue that I always think of is gun control. And that's the one issue, especially in Utah, which is a heavily hunting state.
Yeah.
You can't say anything about gun control whatsoever and not be burned at the stake.
Yes.
My husband is a big hunter. We have way too many guns, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Countless guns. And but there's no reason that we shouldn't make sure that there are safety measures in place for these.
Yes.
But if you
insurance
use
even
the words, then people just freak out and think that you're going to go door to door and take their guns. It's these kind of issues that people don't think that Utahns will vote for. Yeah. But in reality, most
people want common sense regulations.
Yes.
Common sense.
We don't want people who are going to do harm.
Yeah.
To have guns. And I feel like in Utah, we are pretty gun savvy. Mm-hmm. And so we tend to not have a lot of issues that other states do have. Yeah. And so maybe bringing light to what other states could be doing that Utah might already be doing would maybe be a good step in that direction.
But my point also was that basically they're saying it's not okay to say you're pro-choice, all kinds of issues, just because you won't get elected. And I'm thinking, well, you're not getting elected anyway, because why would you vote for a Republican light who's just compromised on everything when you could vote for the real Republican? My personal opinion is that it's time for progressives and Democrats to take a stand, and I think they would find there's more support than they imagine in this state. Is that what you're finding?
Yes, and what I am realizing, being on campus every day and I am kind of an older student, being on campus with some of these younger students who believe as I did, only 10 years ago, in some of these issues where they believe that they're a Republican, but then when you actually look in the issues, they believe more in progress than they think that they do. And I think that there's so many issues that the Republican side is still fighting. there's not a person that I know personally who is against LGBT rights.
Yeah.
Yet the entire Republican side is fighting against it. Why is any side fighting against issues that we collectively believe should be, we should be moving forward with this. We shouldn't be arguing about it anymore. We should be figuring out how to move forward from there.
Yeah. And there's the other big topic in Utah, well, nationwide really, is gerrymandering. Now, you do know that we have it's coming up for redistricting.
Yes.
Yeah. What would you do to support that?
I think the only way that you can end gerrymandering and the terrible way that district lines are drawn is to get an objective third party to draw the lines. And they say that this is difficult because people may still be biased, but you can't be more biased than someone who's doing it for themselves.
Exactly.
Right now we have politicians that are choosing their electors. We're not having electors choosing their politicians.
Yeah.
So having a third party who, my husband knows nothing about politics. Getting a group of them, just like how you choose a jury. You get people who know absolutely nothing about it, don't know which areas vote for which, to redraw the lines. And there's fair ways to do it and there's non-fair ways to do it. And obviously we've been going about this the wrong way.
Oh, completely. It's an issue countrywide, and both parties do it. So it's a
bipartisan issue. It's another one of those issues that we all agree as citizens needs to end. I don't know anyone that is pro gerrymandering, other than to further voter suppression, but it's usually politicians who are for it.
Exactly.
Why are we allowing this to continue when we have a solution? It's not like it's a difficult thing. It's not like healthcare where it's so difficult.
Yeah.
It's a simple solution. Get a non-objective third party to draw the lines.
Yeah. And to education, because you have children, and children matter no matter whether you have them or not. Mine are now 16 and 19. And,
oh my goodness.
So they're taking an alternate route because, quite frankly, we can't afford high-priced colleges for them. So they're going to find their own way, but they're doing it, which is fine. But what's your opinion on the healthcare? Let's talk particularly in Utah, because I've lived in the UK, clearly, because I'm from there, and I've lived in Australia and Utah. So I've experienced all three education systems with my children. I think Utah is the worst I've ever been in, quite frankly. Yeah. It's underfunded. But it's also about more than that. It's about the curriculum and about the fact the children are teaching to tests, or the teachers are teaching to tests. And they don't get breaks, the children. So what would you do to fight for better education in this state?
So my kids are all under 5. No,
Mhm.
yes, under 5.
Yeah.
But my son actually misses the cutoff by 5 days for kindergarten. So
Oh.
we're actually having to go the private school route right now in order to even have him start school. Because he missed it by 5 days, there's no waiver for it. Um, it's definitely a failing system in Utah. You look at other states where they do have, like a lottery in place, and they're using that to pay for education. And if you look at the numbers, and I don't have them in front of me, but overall, Utah is paying less per child than most other states are paying.
Yeah.
And we are such a heavily populated state as far as children go. Again, this is one of those things. We're so family oriented. Why are we leaving this behind?
Yeah.
I feel like Utah really got on the charter school bandwagon, which essentially pulls money out of schools that need the money and need the funding. Yeah. One of the issues that I have is that teachers are severely underpaid.
Oh, terribly.
I mean, if we have teachers on welfare, how are we expecting the system to go up? We can't expect, it's like asking the quality of a dollar cheeseburger to go up without be willing to pay more for it. We have to be willing to pay for the quality that we want.
Yeah.
And I think that, teachers, the passion is there. It's the resources. And it is about teaching for your students. We definitely need smaller class sizes, which means that we need more teachers, and we can't get more teachers if we're not going to pay them. And I think overall, the best thing we could do to start would be smaller class sizes.
Yeah.
Because teachers can't be expected to teach on individual needs if they have a class of 50 kids.
Yeah.
And the thought of 50 third graders makes me want to pull my hair out.
They can't even get the teachers at the moment, though.
Exactly. They can't. My husband's been looking into it because he's graduating next semester in public health. And he's like, well, maybe I could teach and try and bring, because one of the issues that he's passionate about is sex education. But looking into the jobs, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because
you couldn't support your family on it.
Especially when you're looking at, on average, like $30,000 in student loans. You're not going to get people that are going to be making less than $30,000 a year and then just watch that debt grow and grow and grow year after year.
Yeah. Speaking of that, free college?
Yes. I think at the very least, because I feel like free college is another one of those things where you say it in Utah and everybody loses their mind.
Yeah. But I think we have to show them why it's important.
It's extremely important. So I'm actually having to take the summer off because we don't have money for my tuition.
Yeah.
And there's no Pell Grants for summer.
Yeah.
And when Hillary was running, she was running on at least adding summer Pell Grants in, which is a tiny, tiny step. But the millennial generation is the most educated generation out of all the generations. But college has grown so expensive where you can't work your way through college anymore. It's not a possibility. And there's not jobs that are flexible enough to work your way through college. And getting an education is something that everybody benefits from. And it shouldn't just be the privileged and the wealthy who are able to afford to go to college, because that's not setting anyone up on the same platform to rise from anywhere. We at least need, I say this all the time, just give us a fighting chance.
Yeah.
That's all my generation wants, is just give us a fighting chance. We're not asking for handouts. We're asking for a fighting chance. And paying for college tuition is one of those things where it's a fighting chance.
My 19-year-old's just had to defer college, and that's community college, because she's found a job she loves, and she can't manage both at the moment. So
it's extremely difficult to juggle them. And I've got 3 kids. There's no way I could have 3 kids, go to school, and work. It's a possibility. And you can't find a job. Especially in Utah, you can't find a job for more than, $12 an hour, but $15 an hour max, unless you have an education. Yeah. And so everything is all intertwined. You can't afford anything without an education. You can't get an education unless it's available. What
do you say to those people who say, you're not using my money to get something for free?
That's kind of what government is. You guys are using tax dollar. Look at the military budget.
Yes.
we're using this massive military budget, and we're not gaining anything from that other than oil and enemies.
Yeah.
And it's all about redistributing where our money is going and putting it into things that matter. It's not about taking more money. It's about investing it in smart decisions. And oil is not a smart decision. That's another issue I'm extremely passionate about.
Me too.
Renewable energy has to be a priority. And if we are continuing to go on these oil expeditions and wage war just to try and get oil,
when we could be investing in renewable energies.
Exactly.
Beautiful Utah.
And Utah actually ranks 46th out of 51 in the United States. We're not utilizing renewable energy, which is crazy because there's so many solar companies in Utah that are based in Utah that we could be using.
And we have so much sunshine.
Right? And if you look up, I mean, even one state above us, Idaho is number one. They're tied with, it's a 6-way tie, but they're in the number one spot for renewable energy. And it's not wind or solar. They're using geothermal energy. So it's not just that people are saying, I can't get solar because it's expensive, or there's not enough sun, or there's snow. There's different options. I mean, you go up the Provo River and you can see the dam there. And that, I mean, powers a lot of the county. There's different options, and it needs to be a mixture. And we need to quit, to loop back around. We need to quit fighting for oil and paying all of this ridiculous amounts of money to go to tax breaks for oil companies or go to war for oil and invest.
If we saved all that money, we'd be rich as a state.
Enough. It's ridiculous. I mean, my brother is under the 26 mark, and he's unable to go to college because he still has to go off of my mom's income in order to get any kind of financial aid. And that's another one of those small steps that Utah would, I'm sure, be more than willing to make, because with the amount of children per family in Utah, it is unrealistic to expect these families to pay for all of their children to go to college.
Yeah. And it really is. Yeah, for sure. So it sounds like you have very solid ideas and very solid. So you would be putting bills forward and things if you were elected, and
absolutely.
Yeah. Women's rights too, I guess.
Women's rights is, I mean, it affects me.
Yes.
I've worked in the workplace where I was told specifically that I could not have a job because I was a girl.
Oh, wow.
And it was in Utah, and I said, you know what, I'm already running this industry. I'm running this entire sector of this. And they were looking at opening a new market. And I said, give me that market.
Wow.
You've seen what I can do. Give me that market. Wow. And his exact words to me were, you're a girl. I can't do that. My guys wouldn't listen to you because you're a girl.
That has to...
I was making 75 cents on the dollar to my male counterparts, and I was picking up their slack.
And people think that we're making that up when we say that women are earning that.
No, I was making $15 an hour, and my male counterparts were making between $18 and $20 an hour for the exact same job. And I was picking up their work that they weren't able to complete. It wasn't that women don't choose to make less. That's a ridiculous argument.
Of course it is. Yeah.
The only reason that you can say that is if women are choosing to be teachers, which is noble and shouldn't be resulting in them making less.
Yeah.
Or nurses, or any of those professions that shouldn't be making less. It's not that women are choosing to make less. It's that we choose careers that are either beneficial to others, which, again, should not be making less, or we're doing the same job as men and not negotiating for higher wages, or just not being given them.
Yeah, or being told no. Yeah.
You're a girl, guys.
Oh, you're a girl. Oh, my goodness. That makes me very good like it. I could turn into the same progressive at any moment.
Right.
With things like that. I hear things like that. So one last topic, money. Of course, we're always told you have to have money to run campaigns. The local Democratic Party, which I've been very involved with through the election because I was working for Bernie Sanders on the ground, grassroots. What I hear all the time is, but we have to have money to win. And well, A, they're not winning. But B, what's your opinion too about corporate money in politics, and would you take it?
Yes. So on average, it takes about $2 million to even have a fighting chance to fight an incumbent, which thankfully we won't have because it's an open seat. However, there are other people who are raising money for this exact same seat, because now that it's an open seat, everyone is, shoving each other out of the way to go for it. Corporate money has no place in politics. When you are paying a politician, that's who they are responding to. It goes back to gerrymandering. The politicians are choosing their voters, and then they're not held responsible because they know that they're going to get elected, because it's the incumbent advantage. And whoever is going to pay you is obviously who you're going to answer to. It's the same as in a family dynamic or a work dynamic. If someone is going to be giving you the paycheck or feeding you or doing something for you, that's who you have loyalty to.
Yeah.
And we can see this with, any politician, you look at who their donors are and you can directly relate that to the issue that they're fighting for or against.
Yeah.
And it all goes back to, corporate money. And Citizens United really opened that door to make it so that corporations weren't having to hide anymore. Because before, at least, they were kind of trying to hide away from the fact that they were bought. And now there's absolutely nothing holding them back from doing that.
Yep. So you won't be taking corporate money then?
No, which is
awesome.
It's difficult because
but it's been proved it can be done.
It's been proved. I am one of the many Bernie Sanders donators.
Me too.
When people believe in a cause, they're going to go for it. And there are ways, I feel, Obama actually kind of pioneered it with using social media in a way to really gain ground that way. And there are less expensive options for campaigning on social media or digital billboards or door to door. But
meetings in a park. We did picnics in the park for Bernie Sanders. People bought their own food. Somebody donated a karaoke machine so people could talk.
I think the thing is that there's this idea that you need money because you need to pay for ads on TV.
Yeah. Or billboards.
I don't have TV. I have Netflix and Hulu. And I pay extra for my Hulu to not have commercials. Those kind of ads aren't going to be seen by so many because everyone is cutting the cord.
Yeah. No, that's good to hear, because that's one of my big things for who I will be voting for in this state in the next round of elections. It will be somebody who's totally not beholden to corporate money, but beholden to the people.
Exactly. And one of the problems is that so many politicians are saying, when I get there, I'm going to end corporate money. But you can't end corporate money while you're taking it.
When you're taking it.
You start from the beginning with saying, this is what I stand for. This is what's important. And I feel like being someone who does experience these issues firsthand, you understand more why it's important to start. I tell my husband, I'm like, if someone offered me like $100,000 from a corporation, I've never had $100,000. So, this kind of money it's insane, but like I wouldn't even know where to begin. And that just seems like, it seems dirty. If you never, to be given that much money in any sense, it feels dirty. So you can't be clean if you are taking dirty money in the beginning.
So where can people donate to you then?
So I do have a crowd pack campaign going right now.
Cool.
And so if you Google Savannah Gardiner crowd pack, that comes up.
We'll also put the link in the article that goes with this.
But that's really the main place that I am fundraising right now. And then I have started a website. There's not much on it right now, but it is SavannahGardiner.com.
And you have a Facebook page?
And I have a Facebook page, which is Savannah Gardiner. And that's where you can find me. That's get a hold of me. I don't hide behind it. If you message me, I'm the one that answers right now. So.
And it's Gardiner, Gardiner, yes?
Gardiner.
Yeah. So anybody who wants to help Savannah, because I would love to see people like her have a fighting chance in our state, in Utah, because even the Democrats here are not always very progressive, let's say. And it's because they don't believe they can win by being progressive. I believe otherwise, because I was on the ground campaigning for Bernie Sanders for months and months and months. And people liked the progressive values because it cares for people. So that's as small as it comes. It's nothing to do with all the criticism. It's just about caring for each other, as far as I'm concerned. So, and it's nice to hear that you do too. It's been a real pleasure interviewing you. Is there anything you'd like to say, last thing, to anybody?
I think we mostly covered it all. I mean, I feel like it's time for Congress to be representative of the people. Right now, the average age of Congress is 60-something years. I think it's 65 years old.
Yeah.
And in Utah, that's not the average age in Utah. That's not the average age in the country, is 65 years old. And we need people who are affected by the issues. We don't need career politicians who have been in Congress so long that they are blind to the issues. We need people who have been living the issues, who have been affected by the issues.
And who care about them. Because I call myself a 57-year-old millennial.
Right? I feel like at heart we all are. We all are affected by these issues. The housing crisis and the Great Recession is what we were coming to age. I mean, we entered the workforce at an extreme disadvantage. And as I've said, all we want is a fighting chance.
Yeah. Well, I hope you get one, and I hope this helps you get there. So it's been a real pleasure, Savannah.
Thank you.